It was about 1 month ago that Nelson Peltz and the Trian Group were defeated in their quest to get on the Disney board. However, that board of directors is not directing very well if shareholders and investors are looking at the charts. Bob Iger now facing the potential of Nelson Peltz coming back for yet another proxy battle. As folks, we're here to tell you, since Peltz left, the Disney stock in about 1 month down more than 10%. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel that is changing hearts and minds simply by telling the truth, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of that culture curve. Jonas, the curve for Disney not going in the right direction that they would want, and the prediction that Peltz had made about a month ago that we would be looking at potentially a deja vu all over again of the Disney stock dropping after he got out. Well, it's happening just as predicted. What do you think about this, Jonas?
Well, you know, in the history of the Walt Disney Company, they've not really been great at roller coasters. And looking at this is a roller coaster that I really am glad that I'm not taking part in right here. 123 right before they announced that Nelson Peltz was not going to be on the board. Of course, all of the statements by the Walt Disney Company leading up to that announcement were talking about how, no, it's Bob Iger's leadership and all of these announcements. By the way, do we remember what those announcements are? I'm not going to help the audience out here by telling them what they are, but most of them are pretty forgettable and we're not worth the $23 per share. Actually, it's $53 a share that they had gained after Nelson Peltz announced he was coming back. I would say at this point, you know, we've got a pretty good idea of why that stock went up, and now that factor is gone, why it's going back down again.
That's right, folks, and we're not here to give you any kind of financial advice. Jonas, of course, is making mention of the fact that Disney may struggle with roller coasters sometimes. I guess you could call this not Big Thunder, but Big Blunder, the idea that they got rid of Peltz in the way that they did, and it was clear to Bob that he was going to be distraction-free without Nelson Peltz there. By the way, folks, here's what things were looking like back on April 4th, okay? We just want to show you this so you can understand exactly how things have been going. Todd Spangler was the writer of this one, April 4th, 2024, out of Variety. Nelson Peltz warns he'll be back if Disney fails to keep its promises, suggests his firm has made about $1 billion off its investments in the company. I want to read a few quotes here that are really, really important. Trian Partners founder Nelson Peltz accepted defeat for now. That's, again, back in April. Peltz, a day after the activist investor lost a costly proxy battle with Disney, went on CNBC's Squawk on the Street. By the way, I would say that the costly proxy battle cost Disney, not him. The shareholders have voted they want to give management and the board a chance. So be it, he said. At the same time, Peltz continued rattling his saber. He referred to his previous threat in January 2023 to start a proxy fight with Disney before 1 month later, he suspended his hunt for a board seat after Disney unveiled a broad restructuring with Bob Iger's return as CEO. He says, and this is the big one, folks, we will watch like we did last time. We pulled out a year ago, February. A lot of promises were made. We hoped that they were going to keep them. They didn't. We came back, he told Jim Cramer. We've got a new set of promises, and I hope they keep them. But if they don't, you'll see me again, Jim. Jonas, a lot of folks out there are wondering at this point, should we expect to see a more than a proxy battle, perhaps an attempt at a hostile takeover come next year if this stock continues dropping? Don't know that it will, but if it continues to drop, if it repeats what we saw the last time, do you think maybe a hostile takeover is on the books?
I would have to say that it's possible. Nelson Peltz is on record conversing regularly with another billionaire that has a lot more money than anyone involved in this so far. Obviously, we're talking about Nelson Peltz, a billionaire. Ike Perlmutter is a billionaire. Warren Buffett, his name gets brought up every now and then, but he doesn't really get that Disney stock very much. Elon Musk was making overtures basically, and whether or not he was toying with Bob Iger, talking about, you know, joking in front of everybody, right in front of Nelson Peltz. But he looks over his shoulder at this event. There's a camera there. It's the red carpet premiere for a film called Lola, which his family is involved in some way. I'm talking about Nelson Peltz. and someone is doing an interview with Elon Musk there. It sounds like these two billionaires decided that they were going to go to this event, and Elon Musk decided to chuckle, and he talked about how he was wearing his favorite jacket. That jacket happened to be the same jacket where he made his famous statement at the New York Deal Book Summit, where he shared a stage.
Coordinated.
Yeah, shared a stage with Bob Iger, not at the same time. I guess they got equal custody of it at different times here. Where he famously told Bob Iger that he could go forth and find love within himself.
Go fund yourself, I believe is what he said. Jonas, you're exactly right. If Peltz wants to go for a hostile takeover of the Disney company, which, by the way, I would say is not hostile to Walt, it's hostile to Bob. But if he wanted to do that, he would be seeking probably the help of Elon, not Omaha. You're exactly right in that. I want to bring up one additional quote for folks out there to chew on as we ponder the possibility that if this stock goes down, Peltz might be back. Take a look at this, even more alluding to that. Another quote, I hope this is not a redo of last year where we pulled out, gave management a chance, and the stock went down. I hope that doesn't happen this time. Whether we stay or not, we don't make those kinds of announcements. I hope Bob can keep his promises. I hope they can do all the things they assured us they were going to do, and we'll only watch and wait. Goes on to talk about Ike Perlmutter and more. And, Jonas, here's the deal. This stock was at $1.20, maybe more, the first time that Peltz decided not to be engaged in attempting to get a board seat. And then the stock dropped into the 70s. Folks forget that it actually dropped below the 80 mark very briefly. And that's when Peltz said, I'm back. We're gonna go for it. I'm not going to drop out. I'm going to go for the vote. Then he lost the vote. And what did he say? Well, only if that happens again will I be back. Well, we're right on that trajectory again, folks. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen necessarily, but I am saying that if we continue down this path, we should probably pay attention to what Nelson Peltz had to say. We should probably listen, and we should pay very close attention to the fact that Elon Musk is waging a war against woke. He sees it as an existential threat. And what is the chief purveyor of wokeness right now to children? Well, I would suggest that it is the Walt Disney Company. And they don't seem to have turned that around yet.
Yeah, if I can throw this in here, Elon Musk was supposed to get $50 billion late last year, I do believe it was, when a Delaware Chancery Court said, no, you're not going to get your pay package from Tesla, even though you lived up to your end of the bargain with shareholders. More. Yeah, some Chancery Court said, no, that's too much. We're not going to let that happen, which is a ridiculous statement for someone to interfere with contract law in that way. Also, Elon Musk is a huge Disney fan. He didn't tweet out about Disney stock price and whether or not Nelson Peltz should be on the board until after the deadline was met for votes to be in on the proxy fight. So Elon Musk is definitely aware of this situation. He should be finding a way to get his $50 billion, and that's $50 billion of personal wealth that he would be receiving. And I don't think he doesn't need to hold on to that money personally. So it probably would be invested somewhere. I don't want to say he's going to buy, 1/4 of Disney, but I sure would like him to.
Jonas, let me throw a very interesting idea your way. I don't know what you'll do with it, but I want you to take a swing on this. There are some out there who believe that Elon Musk waited intentionally to tweet that out because ideally the best outcome for he and for Nelson Peltz was for Peltz to lose. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but look at this now. It's unlikely if Nelson Peltz had been on the board that they could have done much of anything to stop with one person on the board, just a single person on the board, much of anything to stop what's happening right now that we're watching. But Peltz could have been blamed, right? In this scenario that we're in today, Peltz can't be blamed. Peltz is the guy who gave the warning, right? He's the harbinger of what was going to happen to the House of Mouse. And now Elon Musk and Nelson Peltz, they're sitting in a very pretty place if they decide to get back in. Do you make anything of that, Jonas, that actually Peltz and Musk might not?
It's a very good point. And calling balls and strikes here. There are some good things coming out of Disney, or at least some hints of some good things that might be coming in the future.
Are you talking about Vision from Marvel? Because I'm on board with you on that one. That's a huge win for Disney. They need about 100 more of those, though.
Right. Well, there's also that maybe they're lightening up a little bit with the parks. They're talking about actually expanding the parks. They need to get out of this idea that they just need to do IP over and over and over again. If we can get more out of the Fox studios, if they can focus a little bit less on franchise films and maybe allow a development league over here, maybe farm some talent from a development league, if that makes any sense. If I'm making a bad sports analogy, forgive me. They need to stop doing 6 or 7 franchise films a year and maybe allow some smaller budget things to get into the atmosphere. Actually, focus on the things that people love, focus on the nostalgia of the Walt Disney Company, stop attacking everything that they used to do. They've also gotten back into donating to all sides politically. There's probably a story coming from either this channel or That Park Place or thatparkplace.com about that. They've gotten back to what their former political donation schedule looked like instead of the very biased one that they had in the past. There are signs of correction at the Walt Disney Company. Not anything that I would say they're fixed. They're not fixed. It's still a woke company, in my opinion. But at least they knew how to market to people that weren't woke back in the day. And maybe they're going to get back to that here in the next few years. And if I were Nelson Peltz, I would try to ascertain where it's going to be darkest. And that is the moment, of course, from the stock price standpoint, that's the most advantageous moment to buy when it's at its lowest, when everyone has completely lost faith. So I agree with you. They'll probably be in a better position by the end of this year. Let's see how low it goes. Again, no financial advice before Nelson Peltz announces, okay, this is back on. I'm back.
One last question for you, Jonas, and I don't know what's happening in terms of Hollywood's preparation for artificial intelligence. I know some folks out there get tired of me harping on this, but it's real, and we want to have people prepared for what's coming their way, and then we'll look back in hindsight and say, Pro was telling the truth. It seems to me, Jonas, that in the near future, perhaps by 2026, much of Disney is going to be made rather obsolete by the fact that people will simply be able to generate whatever they'd like. And I would think that everything right now should be poured into the theme parks, into the theme park experiences, because that cannot be replicated. That is on the ground physical assets, vast physical assets, especially with the Walt Disney World Resort, but also Disneyland with the Disneyland Forward, which is not as impressive as we might have hoped for. But do you think that a significant portion of the company is likely to struggle mightily in the face of AI, and therefore investors should take that into consideration? And by the way, maybe that's why Disney's going so strongly straight into interactive entertainment, sports entertainment, and theme parks, because those cannot be easily replicated right now.
I think that's a very good point. As far as the AI conversation goes, if you're going to keep doing paint-by-numbers sequels, AI is definitely the way to go. The question now is whether or not you can use AI to cut costs, but actually hire some of those amazing filmmakers that they've been pushing away or trying to control too much. Bob Iger famously has stated that he watches films 5 times before he lets them finally get released. And if the quality of Disney films are any indication, by the way, even when he was not CEO, he was head of creative at the Walt Disney Company. He was the one who put his stamp of approval on all of those movies that we all go are, eh.
Something to think about, Jonas, as we watch those Pixar layoffs taking effect. Take no joy in those, but they are happening. And folks, video later tonight talking specifically about the Pixar layoffs. We hope you'll be there with us. Also, congratulations to all of you out there who are celebrating Memorial Day weekend. You are almost there. Begin the festivities very soon, folks, and have a great weekend. Stay safe. On the way out the door, consider sharing this out across all of your favorite social media platforms. Like, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. You can find Jonas J. Campbell over on the YouTube channel, That Park Place, which is doing fantastic work. They also have a live show Thursdays at noon Eastern. Make sure to be there. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and even in the face of a hostile takeover, keep having fun.
Are you sick and tired of stuff being swept under the rug because you or the media are too lazy to actually deal with it? Or are things just building up around you so much that you can no longer ignore it? Also like the mainstream media? Well, I got the solution for you. I'm Wilton the Troll, and I want to tell you about this revolutionary new product called Jonas. That's right, no longer do you have to put up with stuff shoved under the rug. You can actually get rid of it and dispose of the problem in seconds by using Jonas. You can, in a matter of seconds, deal with the political and illogical buildup of the muck and grime around you effectively and efficiently with Jonas. You might think this is an ordinary vacuum, but you'd be wrong. You can clean up and remove from one end, but Jonas, he actually works from both ends. From the back end, Jonas can blow a whole bunch of hot air, and that's cool. Remember folks, if you actually want to deal with the dirt and grime the mainstream media has been neglectful about, get Jonas, 'cause Jonas sucks.